Part 93. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 921. Chapter 921, one is different and the other is wide, everyone is happy. Of course, you're awake, Bayes' words were filled with joy, and he subconsciously ignored Yuan Ran's words to let him go. If Yuan Ran's body didn't need it now, he would really hug her directly into the bad room, kiss her and comfort her. But Yuan Ran looked at him with calm eyes and repeated those three words, "Let's go." The three sounds that came out of the throat with difficulty were so soft that it made people feel extremely uncomfortable when they heard them. Of course, don't say those stupid things, I will never leave you from now on. Yuan Ran didn't want to argue with him, so she closed her eyes directly. An operation drained her energy, and now she has no energy at all. No matter what Bayes said after that, Yuan Ran did not open his eyes. Only the small, uneven tone of voice betrayed the fact that he was still awake. B didn't bother her, he just stayed by her side quietly. But B didn't leave, as if Yuan Ran refused to wake up. B had no choice but to tell her, "Xiaoling is very worried about you. She is next door now." As soon as these words came out, Yuan Ran opened his eyes again. B was worried about Yuan Ran's physical condition and was unwilling to tell him. For the sake of Yuan Ran, Kitano was willing to step back and invite Ye Weiwei. "And Ran, thank God you finally woke up." After Ye Weiwei came in, the atmosphere improved a lot. She very cleverly tried to communicate with Yuan Ran, and never mentioned the kidney matter from beginning to end. But when Yuan Ran quietly listened to all the beautiful things she compiled, she could feel the pain all over her body even if she moved a little. "One of my kidneys was removed, right?" No one thought that Yuan Ran himself would realize the truth of the matter. Ye Weiwei opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Ye Weiwei turned his back to Yuan Ran and covered his mouth with his hands, but he held back the pain in his heart and shed tears. Too bitter. This friend of hers has had a hard time growing up. Ye Weiwei couldn't hide his sadness and quickly wiped his eyes and turned to look at her. "Crying about your misery all the time is not something worth doing. I could only try an alternative method of comfort. Don't be afraid, a kidney will not affect your life. As long as it is well protected, you are the same as everyone else. And those villains who dare to plot against you, I will never tolerate them doing whatever they want. And Ran, I will protect you from now on, and I will never let those people bully you." Ye Weiwei persuaded Yuan Ran for a long time and talked to her many, many words. In the end, Yuan Ran could only reply to her feebly, "Thank you, for believing in you." Yuan Ran thought about Ye Weiwei once telling her that good friends don't need to say thank you, so she changed her words in time. But none of this matters anymore. When he saw Ye Weiwei communicating with Yuan Ran, B didn't believe that he, a grown man, could actually be jealous of a woman. But when he saw Yuan Ran's reassuring look after seeing Ye Weiwei, he felt very jealous. Why wasn't that person him? But unfortunately, Ye is the only one who protects Yuan Ran. Yuan Ran lowered her head and said a few words in Ye Wei's ear. Ye Wei looked at her for a long time, and finally sat for a while. "B, let's go. And Ran told me that you are divorced." And Ran also said, "From now on, one will be separated and the other will be generous, and everyone will be happy." End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 922. Chapter 922, Go get that kidney back. Ye Wei conveyed Yuan Ran's intention and turned around. Out of the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of a figure running this way, and heard Xiang Zimu say to Bei Ye, "Brother Bei, Yao Yao is awake. She said she wants to see you." Ye Weiwei stood at the door and stopped until he heard Kitano say the word missing and then continued forward. Yuan Ran asked to be transferred to another hospital after she regained consciousness. Ye Wei was worried about those unscrupulous hospitals and took Yuan Ran directly to Gujinsi this time. Even if B comes, there will be no one there. However, Yuan Ran didn't really feel at ease even while lying on the hospital bed. She still held Ye's only hand and begged, "Don't let my mother know about this. Don't worry, I will find an excuse to hide it for you. All you need to do now, Ran, is have a good rest. Leave the rest to me and I will help you." "No," Yuan Ran shook his head and said, "don't worry about my affairs, you have to take good care of the baby in your belly." It's not that she refuses to accept Ye's only kindness, but she is worried about her health. Hearing this, Ye Wei raised his hand and touched his lower abdomen and said to Yuan Ran, "The baby is very healthy. He must know that I want to help you. He has never made a fuss at all." Even if she lost her temper before, the baby was not harmed by her emotional instability. Yuan Ran was lying on the hospital bed and looking at her. When he mentioned the child, his eyes became even softer. Is that so? The baby is so smart." Ye Wei only saw something called envy in Yuan Ran's eyes. She rarely saw that kind of look with beautiful hope in Yuan Ran's eyes. Suddenly I wanted to keep him. Ye Wei took a step forward and sat on the edge of the bed, held Yuan Ran's hand, and said sincerely, "An Ran, get well soon. If you like the baby, can you be the godmother of the baby in the future?" "Really, really?" She couldn't believe it. Ye Wei faced her and nodded, "Yeah, I will recognize you as my godmother when the child is born. Xiao Lian, I will definitely like him well." Yuan Ran shed tears on the spot. Ye Wei suppressed her sad feeling and pretended to be light-hearted. "Hey, I'm saying this to make you happy, why are you crying?" "I don't cry, I'm very happy." She didn't cry when she was hurt, or when she was in pain, but because of Ye Wei's devotion to her and his kindness to her, Yuan Ran was greatly touched in her heart. Even though she shed tears, she was really happy at this moment. "I originally thought that I would never be able to experience the feeling of being a mother in this life, but Ye Wei took the initiative to mention it. It was like getting moist rain in the dry desert and finding a chance to survive in the desperate situation. In order to let Yuan Ran have a good rest, Ye Wei said nothing more to her. After a few words of advice, he left the ward and saw Kitano as expected. Ye Zhi just glanced at him and turned a blind eye. Ye stopped her. "Qiao Li, is she okay? How can it be good?" Ye Wei chuckled and mocked twice, brushing Ye's hand away. But Ye refused to let go and once again reached out to stop her and asked, "What should I do so that she can forgive me?" "How could I know? You are her best friend. She can listen to your words. You must know that." Ye Wei raised his eyes and looked directly at him. "Okay, you go to Yi Suiao and take back what belongs to An Ran. There may be room for maneuver in this matter." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 923. Chapter 923. The Man Who Rides on Two Boats. What, are you reluctant to part with it? Ye Wei deliberately raised a multiple-choice question with sharp words. Yuan Ran or Yi Suiao, choose one of the two, it's very simple. B. Who do you want to protect? The choice is yours. Ye remained silent and did not answer her directly. If you hesitate, it means you are reluctant to let go. Since you are reluctant to let go of Yi Suiao, then stop pestering An Ran. In short, I tell you, no matter whether An Ran is good or bad, I will never let go of Yi Suiao and Xiang Zi. He is the woman who is used to being a mistress. Oh, don't think I'm meddling in other people's business. As long as I have the ability, I'll do it if I'm willing to do so. She dares to say and do as much arrogance as she wants. That's because she has a trump card. Ye Wei said harsh words and was about to leave when he saw Beye refuse to answer. Unexpectedly, she heard Kitano's voice before she took the first step, okay. It was just one word that successfully made Ye Wei stop in his tracks. Beye seemed to be able to understand what Ye meant right now, so he repeated one more word, okay. Ye couldn't believe that Kitano answered so readily. She asked again tentatively, oh? You mean you are willing to let that woman die? B explained, I will find a suitable kidney source and let Yi Sueo replace it. Come on. Hearing Baye's words, I had no intention of continuing the conversation with him. Baye, I really didn't realize that you would be this kind of man you want to have two boats just dream. As he passed by, Wei raised his leg and stepped on him hard before speeding away. B seemed to feel no pain, and slammed his fisted hand against the cold wall. He is not trying to defend Yi Sueo, but he once owed Yi Sueo his life. B was so angry that he went to find Xiang Zimua, who was coaxing Yi Sueo to recover from her illness in the ward with Yi's mother. Yao, you can feel at ease now, you will gradually get better in the future. I don't know which kind person donated a kidney to save my life. When I feel better, I will go and thank her in person. Yi Sueo still didn't know that Xiang Zimu and Yi's mother had kidnapped Yuan Ran and forced a kidney transplant. At the moment, she was enjoying the false lies and thinking that her beautiful life would continue in the future. Xiang Zimu and Yi's mother were a little embarrassed, but they had no intention of telling Yi Sueo the truth. Yao, when you feel better, you can go with your mother and leave S city. This is not a good place. Yi's mother wanted to take Yi Sueo away to avoid being retaliated by others if she stayed in S city. After Yi Sueo's biological father passed away, Yi's mother remarried someone else and has been living elsewhere. Yi Sueo and Mama Yi have always had a financial relationship. Therefore, Yi Sueo did not blame Mama Yi for reorganizing the family. The relationship between the two is good. But how could Yi Sueo, who didn't know the truth, be willing to leave? She rejected Mama Yi without hesitation. Mom, I'm an adult now and I will take good care of myself. You don't have to worry about me. You can live a good life over there, I will visit you when I have time. Yao, listen to your mother, she is doing it for your own good. Yao, just go with your aunt. I can go over and accompany you. Xiang Zimu also tried to persuade her. But Yi Sueo insisted on having her own way. No, I will stay here. When I get well, I can help Brother Bei with things. You silly boy, why are you still thinking about him? Do you know that this time the kidney? End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 924. Chapter 924. Would you rather give up Yao or Yuan Ran? Kidney, what's wrong? This kidney, the man named Beye said he would look for it for you, but in the end he couldn't find anything. It's all thanks to someone trying to find Zimu this time, otherwise your little life will be gone. Yumama just distorted the truth. Yi Sueo did not doubt what Mama Yi said, but she would not blame Brother Bei. Instead, she said good things for him. Mom, Brother Bei is also working very hard to help me find it. Didn't Zimu also say that the manpower and material resources this time it was arranged for him by Brother Bei? Without Brother Bei, how could I live in such a good ward? Yi Sueo tried her best to defend B, but her mother's persuasion was ineffective, and Xiang Zimu was too embarrassed to speak. Beye, who had been standing at the door for a long time, finally couldn't help but show up. He looked at the three people in the ward with cold eyes, and the hatred in his eyes could make him bleed. Yi Sueo, who still didn't know the truth, naively thought that B came for her. Brother B, you finally came to see me. Beye clenched his fist tightly, and the veins in his fist became a little deeper. Zimu also lied to me and said you weren't coming, but I didn't believe it. I thought you were just delayed because of something. Yi Sueo was delighted to find a perfect step for Kitano. Not only that, Yi Suiao also deliberately said to Xiang Zimu, I told you not to lie to me. Brother Bei still came to see me. Yi Suiao sat talking to them and seemed to be in much better spirits. Thinking about Yuan Ran, who was originally fine, lying lifeless on the bed due to their kidney removal operation, he really wanted to kill someone. As Beiya got closer step by step, Yi Suiao found his eyes to be weird more and more, and there was an inexplicable feeling of guilt in her heart. Xiang Zimu deliberately stood in front of Yi Suiao. At this time, Bi stopped, looked at Yi Suiao and said, it seems that you are recovering well. Yi Suiao suddenly didn't know how to answer his words. Want to thank you? Kitano looked like she didn't need to say thank you. I always feel that Kitano like this is a bit scary. When Yi Suiao felt uneasy, Xiang Zimu protected him. B's eyes left Yi Suiao, and suddenly grabbed Xiang Zimu's collar and dragged him out. Hey, what are you doing? This unexpected scene caught both Yi Suiao and Mama Yi off guard. Beiya used all his strength to drag Xiang Zimu out and push him out, causing Xiang Zimu to fall to the ground without any resistance. Because I was beaten by Kitano 2 days ago, my whole body was bruised, and now it's even more painful. Brother Bei. You're crazy. Unable to resist, Xiang Zimu just wanted to run away, but Beiya held onto him and wouldn't let go, and every punch that landed on him was hard. Xiang Zimu, what did I warn you before? If you dare to touch her hair, you will pay the price. If it makes Yuan Ran lie on the bed, even after being brothers for several years, he will never show mercy. Beiya, she can live well without one kidney, but Yao Yao must have that kidney. So what if you take your anger out on me now? If no one is found in the end, you won't save Yao Yao. Xiang Zimu is not the kind of person who takes things easy. He didn't ask for mercy when he was pressed to the ground and beaten. Instead, he was clever and put all the problems on Kitano. B. You should thank me for my prompt decision, otherwise you would have to go to Yuan Ran in person to get the kidney in the end. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 925. Chapter 925 Don't touch my wife. Taunting Kitano to Zimu, wanting to see Kitano blame himself, but I'm going to tell you today, I don't care about other people's lives, but my wife can't move. Xiang Zimu completely annoyed B. B showed no mercy and Xiang Zimu's mouth was filled with blood. Brother Bei, what are you doing? Yi Suiao, who had been chased out, leaned against the door, with her mother supporting her. What Xiang Zimu said was not only heard by B, but also by Yi Suiao and Mama Yi who followed him. The scene she saw in front of her made Yi Suiao feel very confused, but she could hear clearly that her kidney was actually taken from Yuan Ran, rather than being donated by some kind person. Have you ever thought that your life was actually saved by your most hated love rival? Yi Suiao's heart was turned upside down, and what she couldn't accept even more was the harsh words B said to Xiang Zimu. B meant that he would rather she die than harm Yuan Ran at all. So, is the person who saved me Yuan Ran? No one answered Yi Suiao's question. B lost his temper and let go of Xiang Zimu. He stood up and tugged on his collar. He glanced at the three of them with a stern gaze, completely shocked. Yi Suiao's body went limp and fell next to Yi's mother. Hurry, call the nurse. Yi Suiao pointed at Xiang Zimu who was lying on the ground, unable to help him. But soon, they will face new difficulties. B took back all the rights and money that had been freely distributed to Zimu. Yi Suiao suddenly lost her funding and could not even afford a good ward. Mama Yi was very panicked. She avoided Yi Suiao and went to Xiang Zimu. Zimu, what should we do? They are retaliating against us now, what will we do in the future? Auntie, there's nothing we can do about it now. Don't you think what they did was just cut off our financial resources as a warning? After a while, everything will be fine when the anger subsides. Looking at Kitano's angry look, Xiangzimu originally thought that he might be sued, but he didn't expect that he would just get punched, which was nothing to them. So gradually, Xiangzimu's heart settled down. He still had the heart to comfort Mama Yi. Look, didn't Kitano just punch me a few times from beginning to end? He didn't even attack you, it was just to scare you. After all, we have been brothers for many years. Mama Yi was confused by Xiangzimu's advice and nodded. You are right, Yuan Ran is his wife, he should be angry. Xiangzimu and Mama Yi were discussing something in the room, and no one noticed Yi Suiao standing outside the door, looking unspeakable. Yi Suiao never thought that her kidney not only belonged to her love rival, but also was stolen from her half-sister. This complicated relationship, as well as the truth she didn't want to admit, made it almost impossible for Yi Suiao to face it. Yi Suiao was currently recovering at Zimu's house. After hearing what they said, she went out without looking back. Yi Suiao's body has not yet recovered. After going out and walking for a short distance, she felt a little weak. After walking for a while, she was so tired that she was panting. Well, I originally thought it was very depressing to stay in that room full of conspiracies, but I didn't expect it would be so difficult to escape and hide far away now. Yi Suiao was walking on the side of the road, took 2 steps and rested for a while. Suddenly, a car stopped beside me. When the car door opened, Yi Suiao saw Ye Weiwei's face. Take away. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 926. Chapter 926. She wants to protect B. Yi Suiao is missing. Hang Zimu and Yi's mother couldn't be contacted by mobile phone, and even after walking around several times they couldn't find anyone. Xiangzimu and Yi's mother were very anxious. Otherwise we ask Brother Bei for help and find someone. No, that Bei yet is still angry and will definitely not agree to us. But what can we do? That's right, without Kitano's help, Xiangzimu still had subordinates at his disposal to find people and things. Yi's mother felt sorry for her daughter, but in the end she couldn't hold on. After listening to Xiangzimu's words, she went to Kitano for help. Ye Weiwei went to the hospital to visit Yuan Ran again, each time bringing a bouquet of flowers to represent fresh vitality. "En Ran, I see your face looks much better. Dr. Gu has excellent medical skills. Hey, you can just say this in private, but don't praise it in front of him. Don't look at Guchensi's cold appearance, but he's really upset inside." Yes, only few words subverted Guchensi's image again. But actually, Ye Weiwei was not speaking ill of Guchensi behind his back. After all, they are acquaintances who have known each other for so many years. She and Guchensi have seen that all their grievances have become history. Now they can still smile and say hello when they meet. In short, she and Guchensi are also old friends. In short, I can feel relieved when I see that your health is gradually getting better. Xiao Li, you are pregnant. With just such a reminder, you can understand the rest of it without even having to say it. As a pregnant woman, you have to have a lot of worries and maintain a happy mood. Yi Wei heard others recite those words thousands of times, and his ears almost became calloused. Pregnant women tend to have explosive tempers. When it comes to her, she is pretty good and usually loses her temper. But she is in a good mood today and can handle anything. I will keep everything you said in mind, and I promise to be obedient. It can be seen from her rich language and relaxed expression that she is in a good mood today. Yuan Ran asked along the way, "Are you happy today?" Ye nodded unequivocally and said with a smile, "I caught a fish that fell into a trap." Catching fish that have thrown themselves into a trap saves a lot of effort, So she is naturally happy. Yuan Ran heard something in her words, but she didn't know what it was about. The only time Ye found this suitable moment was to whisper to Yuan Ran, "An Ran, what are you going to do after you recover? Go back to Yu's house, visit your mother and protect the company." Ye Wei didn't expect Yuan Ran to answer like this. If this matter were brought to her, her first thought would definitely be to take revenge on Xiang Zimu and Yi Suiao. And it's the kind of revenge that involves doubling the pain. But Yuan Ran didn't say anything or do anything. Maybe she never thought about how to deal with those three people decisively. How could Ye Yi be willing to do this? "And Ran, what are you going to do to the three people who killed you?" She had not thought about it and could not say it out loud. Ye Wei seemed to be aware of her thoughts, and he felt a little resentful. "What? Are you going to let it go?" "Can't control it," Yuan Ran finally expressed his opinion. Ye Wei asked, "Why can't you control it?" Yuan Ran hesitated for a moment and told her, "Xiang Zimu, do things in B's name." The people and money he sought from Zimu were all in B's name. If he sued him, B would not let him get involved. So, can't control it. Ye Wei sighed heavily. "How can you be so kind? However, this little beauty is very gentle at heart." End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 927. Chapter 927. Both mother and daughter like to be mistresses. Aren't you angry when they treat you like this? Angry. She didn't even know what anger was, probably because she had been feeling uneasy, depressed and distressed since Kitano appeared. These feelings had already overtaken anger. She lost her anger. Yuan Ran can bear it, but the irritable pregnant woman cannot. Ye Wei told her directly, "In 2 days, I have to go to G City to study and catch up on my leave, so in these 2 days, I have to do what I need to do and solve all the troubles that need to be solved." Yuan Ran did not understand the deep meaning of the sentence at first, but instead asked with concern, "Can I help you?" Ye Wei lowered his eyes, raised a smile on his lips, and told her 4 words calmly, "I'll help you get revenge." Revenge is the most pleasurable thing in private. Ye Wei caught Yi Suiao and locked her in a place where Xiang Zimu and Mama Yi could not find her. Zimu and Yi Mama asked B for help, but B still stayed unswervingly at the hospital where Yuan Ran was staying, and never said a word about Yi Suiao's disappearance. Although Ye Wei conveyed the intention of a complete separation to others on behalf of Yuan Ran, she did not forget to care about Bei yet. So Ye Wei had a general understanding of Kitano's every move, word, and deed in the hospital, including asking Zimu and Yi Mama to help find someone. After learning that Kitano refused without hesitation, Ye Wei felt a little better, probably because he was happy for his friend. It seems that Kitano has a good attitude towards admitting his mistakes. Yes, Mr. Bei was actually kept in the dark. He was still very protective of Miss An Ran's secretary. Zhao echoed from the side and gave Ye Wei a glass of warm milk. Secretary Zhao, who recently took 2 days off, came to serve Ye Wei, hoping to coax the boss's wife before the boss would let him resume his position as a full-time secretary. Ye Wei habitually took the milk, drank half the glass and handed it back. Secretary Zhao was helping beside him, and he was extremely diligent. Ye Wei chuckled, "Secretary Zhao, you don't need to be careful. I'll tell Brother Chen to let you go back in 2 days. You don't need to blame yourself for what happened before. I'm not doing well. Nothing happened occur. It's a good thing that nothing happened, otherwise I wouldn't just have lost my job." Speaking of which, Secretary Zhao is still quite aggrieved. But now I can only be glad that Ye Wei was fine, otherwise he would have been cold. Stop being so sad, I'm in a good mood now, let's go see the woman we brought back. Young madam, if you don't just tell me what punishment you want her to receive, then don't go see her in person, otherwise, you'll be angry again, then Chen can always let me go. Okay, Brother Chen didn't blame you, he blamed me for being disobedient. Secretary Zhao feels aggrieved. I know he is blaming you for being disobedient, but you still have to do it yourself. But Secretary Zhao didn't dare to say it because the boss would not settle the score with his wife and would only deduct his salary. The aggrieved Secretary Zhao had to accompany Ye Weiwei to find someone. Yi Suiao was locked in a small room, just an empty little house with nothing else. There's someone coming, but there's no one, let me out. She knocked on the door and shouted, her voice was almost hoarse, but no one answered her. She thought she heard Yi Suiao's voice when she walked to the door, so she fell back and sat there again. Secretary Zhao, please invite Yi Suiao's mother over. Don't you all like to be a mistress? Little Lingdang is also very good at attacking people. And Ran, who doesn't help much, can fight against the mistress. Just thinking about it makes me excited. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 928. Chapter 928, Choose a daughter or a husband. Yi's mother suddenly received news about Yi Suiao. Her worried colleagues were also afraid that they would be plotted against, so they contacted Xiang Zimu at the same time. However, they didn't know that all this happened to be part of Ye's only plan. Mama Yi pretended to be alone when she arrived at the agreed place. Ye Weiwei stood by the window and watched Mama Yi take 2 steps, then looked left and right and then looked back. Ye Weiwei called Secretary Zhao, and Secretary Zhao thought and asked someone to drag Xiang Zimu who was following behind. When Mama Yi saw this ordinary and warm-looking house, her doubts gradually amplified, but for the sake of her daughter, she still walked in step by step. The door is open. Mama Yi stood at the door and did not step forward directly. Anyone there? The house was very quiet, no sound was made. She stood at the door with no hope when she suddenly received a call from Yi Suiao. The caller ID showed it was Yi Suiao, but after Yi's mother hurriedly answered the call, she didn't hear any sound. Soon, the call was hung up again. Yi's mother called back immediately and heard the ringtone of Yi Suiao's mobile phone ringing in the house. Yao yao! Yao yao! Mama Yi shouted as she walked in. She looked around and saw a door on the right was wide open. She forgot to look inside and found her daughter Yi Suiao lying on the ground. Mama Yi quickly ran in and helped Yi Suiao up. Yao yao! Yao yao, wake up! Yao yao, are you okay? Yi Suiao was unconscious at the moment. No matter how her mother called her, she got no response. By the way, Zimu, Yi's mother quickly contacted Xiang Zimu, but as soon as she took out her phone, she found that the signal was cut off. The signal was cut off in a place where the signal was abundant just now. Imama Sihu noticed something. But before she could fully react, she heard a loud bang. Mother Yi turned around and found that the door had been closed. She stood at the door and kept knocking and shaking the door handle. Who is outside? Open the door, open the door. The mother and daughter were locked in a small room with no way to ask for help. Ye Weiwei, who designed all this, sat outside and took a leisurely sip of milk. It's so noisy as expected of a mother and daughter, they both behave in the same way. Ye Weiwei's words contain several meanings. Secretary Zhao was the best at observing people's emotions. At that time, he echoed Ye Weiwei and said a few words. Yes, both mother and daughter are shameless and want to destroy other people's families. Now they are even more harmful, Miss and Ran, they should be taught a lesson. Secretary Zhao is also skilled at adding fuel to the fire. Ye only likes to listen to it because she hates the mother and daughter. By the way, madam, since Miss and Ran meant to borrow Mr. Bei's name from Zimu to do things, she did not expose the mother and daughter to protect Mr. Bei, but why didn't Miss and Ran join us in punishing her in private? You don't understand, and Ran is studying law, and you want a person who is obsessed with politics and law to take revenge in private. That's what the young lady said. Then what should we do with the mother and daughter and Xiang Zimu next? Have you found the information you were asked to find? It's all ready, don't worry. Okay, keep the mother and daughter in custody for another 2 days, and then invite her current husband to see if she chooses a daughter or a husband. Madam is so smart. Ye Wei pinched his ears and said, Secretary Zhao, you are getting more and more. I know how to flatter you. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 929. Chapter 929, Trouble with Mistress Mother and Daughter. Yi Suiao and Mama Yi were kept in the small house for 2 whole days. Ye Ziwei was very considerate in giving them plenty of water and food, but did not let them come out to use the toilet. Mom, my stomach hurts. Yi Suiao and Mama Yi resisted the urge to defecate, but the physical reaction drove them crazy. Yi Suiao came 2 days before Mama Yi. She didn't eat much before, but now it's been 3 or 4 days and she can't bear it anymore. Mama Yi grabbed her daughter's hand and said, Yao Yao, those people are clearly deliberately trying to embarrass us and want to see us make a fool of ourselves. If you keep patiently, maybe someone will come to save us by then. Yi Suiao clenched her teeth tightly, feeling as if her lips were about to be bitten. Mom, I can't help it anymore. She couldn't help but let go of Mama Yi's hand and squatted in the corner. Not long after, an unpleasant stench began to fill the room. Yuxiu was ashamed. The window is very small, and the smell in the room lingers for a long time. Both mother and daughter cover their noses, and they don't even want to say anything now. Secretary Zhao said a few words in Ye Wei's ear, and Ye Wei laughed on the spot. When I think about that scene, it's really funny. Madam, you'd better stop thinking about it, it's so disgusting. It's quite disgusting, keep it closed. After all, punching and kicking is not the only way to retaliate. When dealing with the evil-minded mother and daughter, Ye Wei has no intention of reasoning with them. Yi Suiao and Mama Yi didn't dare to yell in the room. They ate food and water if they could, and drank if they could. But Ye's only purpose was to delay the time, and only release the dying person when they were both incontinent. Yi Suiao and Mama Yi had little strength because they were hungry, so they lay down directly on the ground after being dragged out. Hey, so ugly. Hitting his nose with his hand, Ye Wei took 2 steps back, with expressions of disgust on all faces, including Secretary Zhao's. Yi Suiao and Mama Yi saw clearly that the person holding them captive was Ye Wei. Yi Suiao didn't know the reason, but Yi's mother knew it all. Because at the door of the operating room that day, Yi's mother slapped Ye Wei and witnessed Ye Wei's anger towards Bai Ye, which shows how important she is to Yuan Ran. To this day, Yi's mother still clearly remembers the cruel words that Ye Wei put in her ears at that time, saying that she would definitely settle the score with them, but she didn't expect that bad times would come so soon. Yi Suiao's body is not completely recovered. Although she has a life left, she is not healthy. After all this trouble, Yi Suiao has no strength to struggle and her spirit is also very poor. Only Mama Yi still has the strength left. Yi's mother was able to assess the situation. Knowing that she couldn't resist Ye Wei, she bowed her head directly to her. Miss Jiao, you locked us here just to vent your anger on your friends. Now that Yao Yao and I are like this, you can let us go. Are you leaving? Ye Wei nodded, of course, I won't lock you up anymore. The voice of this sentence is so gentle, as if chatting with someone in a gentle laughter. Seeing that her face did not have the angry expression at that time, Mama Yi really thought that Ye Wei was angry in her heart and laughed, and she breathed a sigh of relief. Mama Yi then reached out to help her daughter up. Yao Yao, come on, let's go home. Etc. Ye Wei suddenly said, Don't be anxious, just meet someone before leaving. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 930. Chapter 930 Man and Daughter, Choose One. Wei refused to let Yi Suiao and her daughter leave. They could only wait for the unknown punishment to come. A man walked in from the door. When Mama Yi saw the man, her eyes widened. You. Seeing the man approaching step by step, Yi's mother could only step back. The man walked up to Mama Yi's feet and slapped her with a snap sound. Li are you, I really misjudged you. Yi's mother's real name is Li are you, and the man in front of her is her current husband. Mama Yi stood up and grabbed the man's arm, constantly trying to make up excuses to explain, "Husband, that's not the case. Please listen to my explanation." The man waved her hand away without hesitation, and without controlling his strength, he pushed Mama Yi to the ground. When Mama Yi saw him, she felt guilty and knew it was over. The reason why Yi Suiao grew up in City S since she was a child is because after her father passed away, Yi's mother quickly remarried someone else. When Yi's mother got married, she didn't tell her that she had a daughter, so she kept Yi Suiao in S City and gave her money on time. Yi Suiao is not the kind of little girl who likes to show off her temper. She knows how to make her life better, so she does not blame Mama Yi for leaving her alone. After all, Mama Yi can help her, which is better than the mother and daughter lived a comfortable life together, with neither good clothes nor good food. Including when she was in the hospital a few days ago, Yi's mother asked Yi Suiao to follow her. She didn't want to take Yi Suiao back to her current family, but just wanted her to leave S City. In general, Yi's mother has been hiding the secret from her current husband, but now that the truth is exposed, she is slapped in the face. Mama Yi still refused to give up and hugged the man's feet and begged for forgiveness. "Husband, I didn't mean to lie to you. I was just afraid that you would be unhappy, so I never told you about Yao Yao. No wonder I asked you why you spend so much money every month. It turned out that you used the money I work so hard to earn to support an outsider. You are still lying now. Don't you think I will beat you to death?" Yi's mother's current husband is very good looking. Now that he knows that he has been kept in the dark for so many years, he is even more angry. Yi's mother was beaten twice. Yi Suiao turned over to protect her. "Don't hit my mother." Originally, this was a sign of filial piety, but as soon as the man saw Yi Suiao, he remembered the shame of being deceived, and became extremely disgusted with Yi Suiao. Mama Yi kept begging the man for forgiveness. The man pointed at her and gave her one last chance. "You said, do you want your daughter or come back with me? Let's end it here today." Yi's mother froze at that time and was speechless. What is she going to do? Her daughter is a piece of flesh that has fallen off her body, and she must be reluctant to part with it. But after being with this man for many years, he has never treated her badly in terms of food, clothing, housing, and transportation. She no longer expects a wealthy life, but only wants to live a plain life. The current life is what she is willing to accept. But now she is asked to make a choice. No matter who she chooses, it will make her miserable. "Husband, please forgive me, don't we have children yet? If you accept Yao Yao, then she will be your daughter and she will be filial to you in the future." Yi's mother also said something like this. Wei, who was watching the theater next to him, laughed out loud and said, "Ms. Li are you, why are you so greedy? Since you can't choose, let me help you. Of course we can't just take advantage of the mistress and her daughter." End of this chapter.